One of the most shattering things I ever read philosophically was that we are beings of self-made soul. That sweeps away so much of the carnage of history, if you think about it. Because if you do not only possess your own soul, but actually create it out of all of the volitional choices you make in your life in response to the things you did not choose. Let's not, overlook all of the bad shit that happens to people that they did not choose. Mm-hmm. And that just includes being born with a certain set of genetics and a certain set of parents, let alone how people treated you. Okay, all of those things we didn't choose. Absolutely, no question. And they damage us in profound ways sometimes that make it seem really, really difficult to exercise our free will or volition. And yet that does not wipe out the fact that we possess it, even before we know what it is or that we're exercising it. And the only valid way to claim a powerful identity is to take responsibility for the choices we've made in the face of the things we didn't choose. And that literally is how we make our souls. But if we base our souls on all that other stuff, the nature and the nurture, okay, all the stuff we didn't choose, that is to condemn oneself to eternal victimhood. And this is the kind of conversation I would love to have with someone that valued rational thought enough to actually consider whether that's true or not. Because there's people out there, some smart people, who believe that free will is an illusion, that it doesn't exist, but that we should behave as if it does. Right? I'm looking at you, Sam Harris.
It's a funny one. So, I mean, do you think, this points of view, some of the points of view we're discussing have really strongly got into yoga. I mean, to the point where I'm surprised we both have a career as, liberals. Actually, we were expressing a liberal point of view in the sense of classical liberal of, different people can have different points of view, and that's okay. And you have to enforce power on people. Yeah.
Sorry, you have to qualify words like liberals with many other words that go with it too.
Yeah, and America it's come to mean it tend to mean politically left-leaning, whereas in Europe it means someone who's open-minded. Yeah, and you'd probably use more with the word progressive perhaps for that. But it's
progressives are open-minded?
I don't know, is that progressive not mean that? Is progressive...
They're the ones who want to cancel you and me, Mark.
They're progressive?
Those are the progressives, yeah.
Wow, that's what you call them. To me, progressive means somebody who's sort of out front, they're sort of out forward thinker.
But they call themselves progressives, yeah.
It's a little bit the Ministry of Peace, isn't it? It's really in charge of war. It's wow. Okay. So how is this going to impact yoga world? So, for example, there's an Indian speaker we're looking at who has no, for the conference, who has no history of abuse, no financial scandals, no sexual scandals. I know, incredible, right? Is generally regarded as wise and funny, popular Indian teacher. But he's sort of we've been told don't get him because he's guilty of wrongthink.
Wrongthink. Well,
he's from another culture, obviously, so he doesn't have a sort of left-wing American point of view because he's from a different cultural background.
Well, if he likes what's going on in India now with yoga and with the government, he most likely has a pretty right-wing authoritarian point of view.
Do you want to bring people up to speed with that? Because people might not know about that, the Indian thing.
What, nationalists who run the country now?
Yeah, tell the connection people. That's quite unsurprising to many people.
For political, well, it comes up every year around June when I get a number of invitations to participate in something or other that has to do with International Yoga Day.
Okay.
Which is the creation of Modi, the guy that's running India now, and he's an extreme nationalist, right-wing Hindutva nationalist, and he has created a ministry that has taken over Ayurveda and yoga and basically is pushing it with, the advantage of governmental force, not just on people domestically, but worldwide with this International Yoga Day. People don't know about the origins of this. They say, oh, isn't it great that the UN endorsed International Yoga Day? It's like, well, no, do your homework and see if you agree with what this guy is about, because he's the one who started it. And it's so sad, actually, that June 21st is actually my teacher, Desikachar's birthday as well. So, you know, I have to separate any acknowledgement that I want to do publicly
But
about
yoga
that
can have
day
these
from,
right-wing connotations. It can have these far-left connotations. I mean, it's quite painful to see sort of yoga get dragged into these directions.
but when you say yoga, it's like yoga is not a thing that exists independently from the people that do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
people who are into yoga that get dragged this way and that way. Yoga itself is fine because yoga is a force of nature. Yoga is the tendency of living things to seek homeostasis. And when we align with that on a deep cellular level, then we can find some deep truths about ourselves and the world we live in. So I have no worries about yoga. You know, I don't care if someone, you know, wants to have a dog or a pig in the room with them when they're doing, if that's what it takes for them to get on the mat.
I'd try goat yoga, give it a chance. Given half a chance, I'd give it a go. So you Leslie, so we don't go too cantankerous at this point. What's kind of buttering your muffin right now? What are you enjoying? What's turning you on? What's like
what's going on with my muffin?
Buttering it. It's a British phrase.
Butter.
Buttering your muffin. What's buttering your muffin? What's you know, sort of exciting you, turning you on? What's positive for you right now?
What's buttering my scone?
Yeah, scone. That's a debate we don't want to get into. Okay, there's warring factions there.
When does a scone become so muffiny that it's no longer a scone?
This is a philosophical inquiry right there. Scone or scone. So what are you enjoying right now? Obviously, you're part of the conference. You know, we're excited to have you part of that. Just very happy you stepped up with that.
Embodiment Conference is really exciting me. And the degree to which we can deliver a really valuable educational experience with this medium here is actually very exciting to me because, as you know, I've been doing this in one form or another for over 11 years now with yoganatomy.net. And the way we've evolved how to deliver that material has just gone into overdrive now in this past year. And we talked about agency and free will. You know, the degree of agency that a student online can exercise in a learning environment far exceeds that of a live.
Yep.
You know, what kind of balls does it take, or chutzpah, I mean, if you don't have balls, but, you know, what kind of moxie does it take to stand up in the middle of a class that someone is teaching to a room full of people, roll up your yoga mat and walk out the door? Very few people, even though they may really want to do it, have ever really done that. Here, you just hit a button and you can turn off your camera, stay in the class, or you can leave the class entirely. I love seeing all the blank screens when I'm teaching workshops. I love it because they just flipped the coin, didn't they? It's like, okay, because we say, this is the part of the class where we're going to practice. And myself and Lydia, my partner who co-teaches with me, has a very good eye for looking at the details of people's practice. This is where we're going to be looking at you, and we will offer some feedback if you're open to it. If not, turn off your camera. And like half the room turns off the camera. I think that's really awesome. How many times in a live room have half the people flipped that no touch coin because they make ear pressure or something like that, right? So that excites me. That really, and this isn't going away. I don't care how good the vaccine is or how comfortable we get being in tight spaces with other people breathing deeply ever again in the future, if we ever do. Even if that all comes back as a possibility, this is never going away, and it shouldn't.
No, it's out of the bag. People, all the yoga teachers who've learned to use Zoom, who won't be going back to studios, all the teachers who used to go to like their rubbish local teacher, and now they're realizing there's something that's a much better fit for them, you know, on the internet, or they realize actually their local teacher's fantastic, and that celebrity from LA really isn't a big deal, you know. Actually, you know, really like in Brighton, we've got Pete Blackaby and Jim Tarrant and Gary Carter. You know, I was like in a class with Jim the other day, and I was so grateful just to be back in a class with him, you know? I was like, thank God.
Brighton is very yoga rich at the moment, isn't it?
We're lucky. And there's a lot here. And I do think a lot's going to fall by the wayside of teachers who, you know, there was an excess of teachers. It's the opposite of the 80s, right? And those who aren't committed will have to get other jobs after this.
There was an excess of instructors.
Instructors, you're right.
Always,
you're right.
Always a short supply of teachers. That's the decision I would make.
Well, with the scalability of online, if you have a teacher that really has something to offer, whether it's your yoga anatomy course online or someone at the conference who's brilliant, you know, whatever, that can scale. I mean, I just looked at the thing for the conference we're on today, 351,000 people. You know, like that's going to be at 500,000 at some point. Like,
Do you have a ticker just constantly spinning that runs off the numbers like that?
Go to the website,
Yeah.
embodimentconference.org. It's at the bottom. Look, let me show you. I'll show you right now. You can, it's literally in real time, 3,501 and 29. If you wait about a second or two, that will, oh, it's slow today. That will tick over and change.
So it's auto refresh, right? You can just.
It's an auto refresh, and there we go. Someone just registered. So, but it's the most, like, this scalability, I think, will mean that teachers who have something special to offer will get a lot of students, and very average ones will get none. So I think that is an interesting environment to be in.
Cool. And okay, the other thing that excites me is that everyone that logs in for the yoga class on the yoga channel gets to see that really fun intro that we just filmed.
You've done a fun video. You immediately got up when we were quite, should say for listeners, Leslie's a sponsor of the conference, and I was quite selective about who the sponsors were, because one thing I know from life, if you take money from someone, you're in their pocket, and you got to be careful who that person is. Like, for example, I knew you wouldn't be pushing some hardcore Maoist or far right politics on me. I was like, but you need to be careful. You take someone's money, they can easily say, well, I'll take that away. I made one comment, and someone that lent us £50,000 for the conference messaged me to say, maybe you don't want to do that again, Mark. I'm not threatening you, but maybe you don't want to do that. And I was like, okay, probably won't take money from that guy again, because there's something that came with it.
You put that on Facebook. I questioned that, didn't I?
What's that, sorry?
I questioned that when you did that on Facebook. Yeah, I texted. Yeah, I mean, you could have gotten a lot more from Lululemon to sponsor the yoga channel. I know that. So
there's people who said no to. I won't name them. So no, I think you're a good fit with it in terms of your anatomical knowledge, but also your sort of wide view of yoga. Sense of humor is always a part of our events, so I think that fits nicely with it. What are you offering through it? Are you offering, sort of telling people about your anatomy online? I mean, that seems to be pretty popular.
Well, it's just all at yogaanatomy.net. That's where you go.
Yoga Anatomy.
That's where they find all the stuff. I'm doing a bunch of other things. I'm working on new material on the Union platform, which is run by a friend of mine, Andrew Tanner, who used to work with the Yoga Alliance. So the stuff I'm sort of workshopping now is sort of going there every week. So yeah, the online stuff is great. I just rented a new space right across the street from where I'm sitting, which is crazy to rent a new yoga space these days, but it's for a studio. It's for a streaming studio that not only I can use to do things on a world-class level, but for all the displaced homeless yoga teachers in New York who are sick and tired of streaming out of their
Smart. They want to go to work again. They want to have professional quality. I can also see people getting fussier about the quality. Like, people were very forgiving at first. Now, if I'm in a class and someone says, "Is my mic working?" I'm like, seriously, really? Like, come on, get with it. So it's no longer willing to tolerate bad quality. So I can see why that's popular. And as long as it's got that streaming quality, it's one for the future.
Yeah, well, that we're building it out. I'm later today. I'm meeting with the cable company to upgrade my upload speed. Because that's where
you're down with the kids. You're not a cantankerous old man, Leslie. You're down with the kids. Come on, upload speeds being updated and up to date anatomy knowledge. You got it going on.
I've been a tech guy since I was part of the AV club in school. I was the kid that would wheel AV around the overhead in class. I was watching original Star Trek when it wasn't reruns. I'm a deep tech nerd.
We were gonna get all the volunteers red shirts, like from Star Trek, but we thought we'd better know in case they took it.
You don't want them to last past the first commercial.
Listen, I need to go. I got a meeting with someone more boring than you. So yogaanatomy.net is the place to go. When are you teaching at the conference? I'm pretty sure I'm hosting.
I don't know. You tell me. I don't have the schedule memorized.
Hang on.
I got other shit to do also, Mark. You're not the only thing.
Stop being New York. I'll find it.
All right.
Okay, where are we? It's Leslie Kaminoff. You're going to be in an American time, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think we're in the first week. There we are. Keynote stage, 4 p.m. UK time, which is 8 a.m. California time.
What day is that?
Saturday the 17th on the keynote stage. And I think we've got you on a couple of panels and things as well. We've got you on if you want to catch Leslie and you're in California, you might want to go to the panel on the 14th, which is at 10 p.m. UK time, which is, what is that, 8 hours back Californian time. So
You
that's,
must have so many time zones in your head right
there's
now.
a few. I didn't even know what time it is, what country. We're so international, the team. I was in a meeting the other day, and there was a Saudi Arabian meeting, cooperating with an Israeli, a Croat, cooperating with a Serb, and an American and a Chinese. And I just thought, wow, we're the real fucking UN here, Leslie. You know, we hadn't even noticed we were in this sort of harmonious. And no one's having to score diversity points or privilege points on each other. It's just people.
That's not the notice about people. The stuff to notice about them is, you know, what they do, who they are, what their core values are, not the color of their skin or what they're wearing on their head or what's hanging between their legs.
Let's leave it there. That's a nice place to end, Leslie. So yogaanatomy.net if people want to check you out. I'll see you at the conference. A pleasure, sir, as ever. Take
care, man. See you around. Bye.